am back. Okay. That means through dimensionally potential influences of future humanity and us humans now on a different level of existence, we reach in our development as the first species a kind of crystalline exit door far above the seven-dimensional prison from where we return home to quantum consciousness and became dimensionally unassailable. We have already left the entire prison of this existence, dimension 1 to 7, completely and forever. So if one sees it from the position of this future humanity, from the hyperdimensional consciousness, i.e. outside of our seven-dimensional overall prison, one has to say, due to the dimensional interaction that we humans had always returned, and we always directly influence ourselves and our own development and escape from this lower seven-dimensional existence, always. Because humanity was always the way and the key for all prisoners of this seven-dimensional existence. But at this point, this is perhaps a bit too far-reaching. Interviewer says, aha, yes, that is impressive, but also a little difficult to understand what you mean exactly. Everything a bit much at once. It makes you curious and sounds a bit scary, but it is certainly very difficult for many viewers and for me too to understand all of this. So much kaffir. Please start from the very beginning and, if possible, in a way that a person of today can understand it. Laughs. So what is happening on Earth right now? Because when I think about what you just mentioned, the first question that comes to mind are about other phenomena that we seem to be observing here on Earth. Does that have something to do with it? For example, with crop circles, UFOs, extraterrestrials, apocalyptic signs? I am also thinking of theories and considerations about pyramids, religions, extraterrestrial artifacts, or angels. I'm not thinking about any of that shit. Can't we just get smart and exit through the crystalline door? Why do we need an outside source to take us there? Anyways. Do these states have something to do with influence generated from other dimensions? Alexander Laurent replies, yes and no. Most of it rather indirectly. Yes, everything is inevitably connected. It is often a hopscotch of different influences. Complicated. The so-called future people, or even the escaping humanity, did not actively influence everything at the moment, but they only act or acted through the hidden actions of negative powers. So they use the mechanisms of influence of dark rulers, which are currently invisible to the present humanity. The future mankind, as one could call it, always had the overall process with all other beings firmly in control or in view. Seen from the casualty, the present humans and the humans of the future were actually not at all the casual initiator of the events and or the still happening on Earth. These people acting in the future actually all only jumped on the train of which their ancestors in the past were themselves a part, a train that threatened to go into nowhere. They diverted the train, so to speak, into our now forever fixed future. But more on this later. Interviewer says, aha, what about interventions in political change? Do they have anything to do with why wars are fought? Why the financial system and the economy are so greedy and controlled? Why an elite is directing and controlling the planet? Or are these people acting in the future, not connected with it at all? So the list of related questions will be long. So what's behind all this? How is everything connected? And how will everything clear up? And how can anything good ever come out of all this chaos? Alexander Laurent says, well, to go into everything individually would be a bit lengthy and cumbersome, but I don't have to go into all the details either, because the deeper my explanations go, the easier it is for everyone to understand. It does not need thus special detail to apocalyptic portents or to the legends over past civilizations, over secret kept, over myths and wrong myths of an earthly lizard species, or over us lurking aliens. I can talk about any topic indirectly or directly anyways, so that spectators or listeners can draw their own conclusions in the course of time. So I don't have to deal with the sections individually, because everything will fit together no matter where I start. What I explain will be enough to be clear and unambiguous, sometimes so clear that there is no need to break down further connections anyways. So let's start in the right way, preferably with the present people on Earth themselves. On Earth, that are currently so-called positive and negative groups of people who directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, are working on a dark agenda to transform humanity physically and spiritually into a humanity that is not wanted by humans themselves. Of course, not by the humanity of the future either. All the goals of these groups are diffusely formulated, and behind all the goals that these positive and negative groups fulfill and implement, there is the influence of a club of extraterrestrial beings, which thus very pragmatically pursues the goal of leading intelligent species of a planet or a moon into technocratic development, a development in which, e.g., humans will no longer be humans, but in the future, in this club, biological, digital, existing, living beings. Only in this state and in this way can and may an intelligent species join this overpowering digital species club. This is the condition of access and is and was the whole basis and superstructure of all flimsy structural measures, technical developments, media influence of the whole humanity on Earth, of the whole inhumanity of Earth. Also, our religions, myths, and prophecies were created for this. Even the science fiction films about extraterrestrials served stage and set the mood for the great changes to be introduced. This alien club is the ruler of the universe, but only of the four-dimensional universe. No shit, right? We all know this. When am I gonna learn something new? I've been reading a lot and I've not learned anything new yet. We're only on page 19. All right. These influential positive and negative human groupings on Earth are installed and work more or less consciously on the goal of the digital biological transformation of mankind. Lies, adaptations, disinformation, and omissions are dished out to the different levels of these groupings and the idealistic but naive individuals of the lower and middle levels, so that they function as expected and help to implement the overall plan. Yes, they're a bunch of sellout and goons who know not what they do. They're brainwashed. So that an ancient human digitally existing nobility which keeps the people in a control system can carry out the implementation of the biological digital transformation of humankind. To ensure this path, all influential people, low and high elites, are directly or indirectly baited with influence, power, money, and privileges. The very highest of these elites, most of whom are blood relatives of the digital nobility, are so interested in money and the material benefits of this world, and even trained to be persuaded and corrupted by this technocratic species club to carry it out. In this way, through these cities and their ancient digital nobility, the control and direction of humanity has been exercised in every past epoch on Earth. Often it failed and had to be restarted because man and the life of civilization imposed upon him led to unrest, economic and social problems, as well as psychological aberrations, since the development programs imposed from the outside simply did not fit the nature of man, no matter how man forced himself to do so in the last millennia and set about wanting to develop himself accordingly modern. So I have a empath who told me that humanity is built with a kill switch. You can't 100% turn them into slaves because we're all built with a kill switch. We'll all self-destruct before all of humanity can be totally controlled. It's built within our bodies. It's against the natural law. It's against the spiritual, universal, natural law. So, hence they have to keep restarting. Alright. Most modern developments and progress on Earth are primarily based on extraterrestrial programs and directional plans imposed and occupied at the beginning of a civilization, always embedded in a foundation of religions and myths, which are supposed to spiritually stabilize mankind during this unnatural technical advancement and social adaptation. But none of this has ever been of true human origin. Everything was pressure built up and extraterrestrially influenced. Although this species club is very ambitious in pursuing the goal of digital inclusion of an intelligent species with these means, its credo is not to overdo it with a species. The species to be adapted must be given leeway, allowed to collapse and grow from it. A species should, if possible, bring about technical and social developments of its own accord, and the characteristics of it has already developed. So it's mind manipulation. They want to manipulate our minds to want it for ourselves. But it's not working because I don't want it. It's not working for me. Anyhow. The species, although the species club is very ambitious in pursuing the goal of digital inclusion of an intelligent species with these means, its credo is not to overdo it with the species. The species to be adapted must be given leeway, allowed to collapse and grow from it. A species should, if possible, bring out technical and social developments of its own accord and the characteristics it has already developed. This is the official statement. Nevertheless, there is a lot of trickery in pushing to put it this way. For example, major developments and the interventions necessary for them are sometimes simply played into the brains of people to drive technical progress. Empower elites, empower nobility on Earth are there to implement these processes as optimized and regulated as possible, also economically compatible. This means that progress must be coordinated. Nothing must come too fast or in the wrong order. This means that fundamental technical developments must be pushed if this would endanger the implementation of a key technology. Since most intelligent species of the universe genetically and developmentally hardly ever correspond to this technocratic pragmatic ideology and philosophy of this extraterrestrial species club, their lives, which are influenced by these beings, are under enormous pressure and high personal agony. For progress and development, one must go this way. So the club is not progress. It's retardation. It's regression. Like, it's not progress for anybody. Like, we're all interconnected. So, but if they succeed, nobody wins. Is regression. Anyways, but I get what they're trying to convey. Otherwise, the decay and, in the worst case, transience of an intelligent species threatens. Under this motto, all intelligent species of the four-dimensional universe will be influenced in order to finally be transformed into biological digital beings. He's calling us intelligent. Anyways, those who follow along with his bullshit, I hardly find intelligent. Alright. So, due to the pressure imposed by the club and the simultaneous enjoyment of certain privileges, the digital human nobility and the power elites they had founded felt compelled to implement and push the club's plans as earthly executive instruments. Many of the elites, that is, the knowing elites, help this extraterrestrial club because they have no idea what alternatives exist and in what directions they might still develop. See, those who push the agenda and have no feeling can hardly be called intelligent. I don't think they can lop those people into the same group. Just because we have the same body does not mean we have the same intelligence. Where was I? In addition, the digital abilities is... But the situation for humanity is not as hopeless as just described. The ancient nobility and the power elite enslaving us with all their leaders and lackeys have no idea that their plans have always been used for our goals. The people of the future, that is, a state will be created in which today's people will free themselves from their terrible controlled state. They will free themselves from these hidden structures of domination, the earthly, the above and below ground. Interviewer says, who and what is behind these power elites? So who is at work there? And what are these elites doing on our planet in detail? Alexander replies, that is actually quite easy to outline. I'm not allowed to go into the exact details. That would not break off the connection between the present Earth and the future development, but it would be unnecessary, shake up the process for what is coming to all of us. Liberation can no longer be prevented at all. Well, this elite groups and secret societies on this planet are divided into different camps. One could say into different opinion blocks. They have all been manipulated throughout the ages, directly and indirectly, by beings that truly exist above, below, and beside us. For the functioning process of this manipulation, There, among all elite blocks, therefore knowing, half-knowing, low-knowing, and false-knowing people. The highest of these camps, i.e., these at the top of the pyramid, manipulate and spy on each other. All groups with middle and lower knowledge, i.e., the false partial and low knowing, assume that there are important clues behind the hidden historical, religious, and spiritual traditions, as well as the ancient artifacts found all over the planet. Some of them are correctly interpreted, while other artifacts are misinterpreted by these groups through deliberately false lore and manipulation. Thus, they are all controlled, also align the power elites, and they believe in what is presented to them and what is available. They also doubt but believe predominantly because the higher of these groupings have contacts up and down. In this respect, all middle and lower groupings stand alike and know also all the same, only in the interpretation, in the meaning, authenticity, and the actionism, which is thereby started by them. They are all more or less wrong or right, for they all have no complete picture, and that is so desired. So, they are compartmentalized, fragmented. So nobody knows, they're fragmented on purpose. So nobody knows what the other is doing. So they're all kept in the dark. All right. Let me stop it there.